So there was a shooting a few days ago in my city, in Colorado Springs. And first, I want to say, like, so sorry for the victims and families affected. I mean, that's really horrible, and it's never good when anything like that happens. So, my deepest sympathies to everyone affected by it. It's a horrible thing. That being said, I'm gonna be blunt here. The problem and it was the gay community was targeted, the LGBTQ whatever. Honestly, honestly, I'm not against their lifestyles. I really don't care what people do. I really could care less what people are doing or whatever sexual activities or whatever. Even PMO, you can't really control PMO. I mean, I don't do it. I've quit that part of the degenerate lifestyle, and I don't believe in it. And I believe that our culture is being degenerate. But that being said, this is a weird situation. I think one of the things that annoys me about things like this is that the exact same situation always comes up when there's a shooting, when people get killed, like when people take guns out, like we always just blame the guns. um, at least the liberal side. I mean, I love my family. Look, I love you guys, but you guys need to look at the bigger picture and realize that like guns are not going anywhere. Sad truth is, guns are not going anywhere in this country. There's not banning them. Banning guns would be a worse thing than we would know, and it could cause. We don't understand that we have the power to stop tyranny, and guns are like the only way to stop tyranny, like the only way to you know to to take back our power as people. And the truth is, guys, we can't just give away our power to the government. It's just believing that the government is just going to solve every problem for us is one of the naive things that we've believed before, and it's never turned out right. I mean, look at history. So one of the things we got to understand is that the reason these things happen is because there's a lot of fatherlessness. It has nothing to do with the gun. The gun is like yeah, guns are a little bit of the cause of it, but it's just I'm just looking at the bigger picture. I'm not saying that guns, like everyone needs to own an AR-15, or that the availability of AR-15s isn't a contributed factor. It certainly is, but it's just not the main factor when in regards to shooting. And you'd think we'd learn. I think we're the problem is that people don't really think outside the box. Like there probably is a solution to deter this type of thing from happening. But the scary thing is, it's almost like I almost feel like there's a conspiracy behind this, where this is this is munition so that people in power can take away guns, because that's what they want. This what they want, to take away the individual's power. So whenever an event like this happens, it's really senseless. And I really, this is why I hate that it happens, personally. Not because guns are terrible, because I think people should be allowed to own weapons, and as long as they're responsible and like sane people. Like obviously, like I just don't want psychotic murderers to own weapons, not at all. I personally think that, but I want people to understand that like there's a motivation behind people who do these horrible things. Like people don't, a person who is not a happy person is, a happy person isn't going to go and massacre a building. And as a person who's struggled with loneliness and struggled with depression and struggled with all these modern problems that I think we're facing, I honestly don't think that depression was as much of an issue in the past, because one, we didn't have technology to, like, we didn't have all the ways to measure all the things that we have now. We didn't have the science that we have today. We didn't have the knowledge that we had back then. So people didn't have time to be depressed because they were busy surviving. And this is the first time in history, like this is all new, where we haven't had to really worry about survival. We haven't really, and it's unnatural. It's not our natural environment. I realize that's one of the reasons why the modern man is struggling so hard to get women. And um, the thing, like my grandfather would have been an incel in this day. My dad would have been an incel. He never would have had a family. In this environment that I'm in. I'm in a very harsh dating environment where you have to deal with loneliness and depression on a scale. And the only way I'm surviving, honestly, is by doing self-improvement. Self-improvement is definitely a major coping mechanism, I realize. And that's why I've definitely leaned on it a little bit too much. In a lot of videos, like say, people say self-improvement is masturbation. Now, I wouldn't say it's masturbation. Like, I think that's a little extreme. Um, but I understand what that argument is now. Um, and I've gotten lost in the self-improvement space a little bit. I've been lost in things that don't matter. And yeah, I just don't like the modern day. I wish I was born like back when shit was harder, to be honestly, I know it sounds messed up. It's like, oh, there's racism and yeah, but like you became stronger. You had to face, there just isn't enough challenge. And I think there is challenge. Like the challenge is the war is a spiritual war, like in that movie. It's spiritual war, and our life is a Great Depression. I mean, that's just facts, man. The modern man is just fucked and thrown into this weird place where we're in this unnatural state where we have all this pleasure that we don't need, and um, fatherlessness. I mean, the guy who committed this crime was non-binary. I don't know if this is true or not, but I've heard this. Like I said, I'm not going to say that I know exactly what happened. But it sounds like he was part of the gay community. I'm not sure if anybody wants to comment who has more information. I'm not saying I know, but that's what I heard. And his dad was a PMO star. His dad was an adult star. And the interview with his father was so strange. He didn't act like he cared really. I mean, this just shows, if this doesn't show we're living in an idiocracy, like if you've seen the movie Idiocracy, like that's the direction we're going. Like the stupidity, we're clearly getting dumber. Like I've just researched this and I've just thought, man, I'm not very smart. I'll be honest with you. I'm not the most intelligent person on this planet, but the rate of stupidity, like I see in some people, is far beyond my own. It's almost like mind blowing how stupid people are. I mean, just go and drive a car. You can just see how stupid people are. I mean, some of the way people drive on the road is so incredibly dangerous and it's so unnecessary. Like the way people speed by you. I'm not even talking about how people speed, but like how people will. I've almost gotten in accidents several times in this city, like in this month alone, because people just were like, there was just so many dangerous drivers, like people just doing turns. Like a truck almost like collided with me because it decided to turn and it saw me, and I don't even know if it didn't see me or not, but it looked like he did and he still went. And if that is an example of like how stupid people are nowadays, it's really bad. And I mean, just working customer service like just showed me how stupid truly the public is. Especially working at a hotel when I had to see, when you have to say hello to people every day. The rate of distraction we live in, the way that we are in this unnatural state where I almost feel like we need to have places that restrict technology. We need to like actually like talk to each other. Like because when we are talking to each other like and focused on the conversation, which is something that I've noticed, but technology gets in the way of this. I mean, I'm going to say this to myself, like I get distracted by it, and yeah, man, it's just a hard time to be alive as a man. I don't feel like women live in the I'm not trying to hate on women, but I don't believe women live in the difficulty are dealing with or really understand the existential crisis that is affecting humanity. The existential crisis that we're looking to somebody named Andrew Tate, like men are looking to somebody named Andrew Tate to have all the answers, and we're taking, we're taking these pills to these reality pills to justify our beliefs that for things we don't understand, and we are so becoming less human, in my opinion. I think we're becoming so connected to this technology, to unnatural things, that we are losing ourselves, and that's my concern for the world, and the fact that you can get canceled for stating these things. The fact it isn't even, I don't even think that the elites care. I think the thing is the elites don't cancel people because they're worried about their agenda getting messed up. The elites cancel people because they can.
There's no threat. Like these whenever when anybody mentions this, whatever the agenda of to these people, they're going to be able to get it done. It's like, if anything, like canceling people is what they want. They want people who have actually bad, because the red pill is actually a really bad thing for men. For men, it's actually a very backwards thing. It makes us think, makes us extremely chauvinistic. It's not, and I'm getting like, I know that is that I'm gonna get called blue pill for that or whatever. But the fact is, guys, like we have to have a balance between it, if that makes sense. And I feel like the people of old, like back in the 50s, 20s, 40s, like there was a balance between being a gentleman, and it was like you could be a gentleman and not be considered a simp. Like there was a point, like obviously it went a little overboard because of the influence of feminism. And I think feminism is what's kind of caused a lot of this feminization of men. It's not because feminism, it's weird. It's weird how it's happened, how the political left has tried to feminize men. You know what I mean? In the name of equality. But equality, like there's very little that is unequal between men and women now. I mean, you can say this to the T, like women can get as many jobs as a man now and make as much money as a man, and still there's this frustration, there's still this battle of the sexes. You think that we'd win, we'd be over this, we'd be past this whole conversation of equality, inequality. And I know that like a lot of people think this is stupid, talking about wokeism and all this stuff, and it's like you might think it's boring, but the fact is, guys, there's a cultural shift going on. Our culture is changing, and our culture has been changing for like a long time, like since the 60s. And we've become very hostile to traditionalism. The traditional archetype is now the counterculture. Being conservative, or not even being conservative, like it's not even conservative anymore. It's like if you're not a person who doesn't agree with whatever the LGBTQ, whatever the fuck, if you don't agree with every single thing that they want, you are somehow racist, and you're somehow, but you don't understand that the agendas behind these groups are become changed. Like it used to be about just being gay. Now it's like, now you're non-binary. Now there's all these weird gender things. Now there's all this, it goes on and on and on. And it's this march. It's like, like I read a book, there was like the left's march through the institutions. That's what happened. It's continuous. It is going to continue until they break down every single pillar of society. That means ownership. The next thing is going to be ownership. And they're taking away free speech. Free speech, they're trying to take away all the basic things that you're taking for granted, all the good things that you have in your life. They want to take that away. And that's why I'm scared. I'm scared of people who have an agenda to destroy everything and not improve things. And because that's what I used to think, that being liberal and was about improving the world, and it's not. Because the world has not gotten better. They've gotten almost everything that they've wanted, and the world has not gotten better. Because it is a fairy tale. And the whole, and that's why they continuously, the next thing they want to get rid, they want to get rid of guns, they want to get rid of free speech, they want to get rid of everything that was good about this country, everything that made the country like appealing to people want to come here. Like people don't move here like from around the world because it's like there are other countries. Like, why would they want to move to a country like China? If you live in China and you're like, oh, I want to get away from China, or if you were living in some shitty country like Venezuela, or if you're living in some country where there was communism and you come to America and then you see this, you'd be pretty scared. Like, you'd be thinking, wow, the same stupid crap that happened there is happening here, and that's what's happening. And technology, yes, is advancing, but humans are actually becoming stupider, and we're starting to believe things and make up things that aren't real. And like tradition has a place. It's existed for a long time, and it's the reason that our civilization is where it is. That's what I believe. Because of all these so-called, it's not because of racism and all that. Racism is a term that is a very broad term to something that is very complex. While prejudices do exist in relation to race, also I think everything has to do more with socioeconomic class. And that's the thing that people neglect to talk about. And I know that if you've made it this far in the video, I appreciate you. I know I'm talking a lot, but we need to understand this, guys. Like, the fact is that if we continue like thinking that simple solutions to complex problems are going to solve our issues, it's not. They're never going to solve the issues. Just taking away guns is not going to make shootings not happen in one day. Okay, the fact is, guys, the guns will always be there. We can only figure a way. We have to combat this we have to do the opposite of what we're doing now, which is bashing and attacking men. That's not going to help. There's going to be more shootings if we don't figure a way to combat this mental health crisis that is really bad right now. I've experienced it myself, and it was happening long before the pandemic, guys. People don't understand that this mental health crisis has been happening since the iPhone's been around, since Steve Jobs started putting out this technology. Ever since our technology has started advancing, that's when mental health started getting bad. That's when people's habits skyrocket, and it also has to do with the rate of people consume bad food. People aren't healthy. People don't go to the gym. People sit around all day. I mean, of course people are depressed. We're not doing what we're meant to be doing. We're meant to be outside. We're meant to move around. We're meant to be healthy. We're meant to like connect with each other, and we're not. And that's one thing I've realized. So anyway, peace be with you. Have a good one.